The rest came easier. My friend ignored her at first, but then Nina reached out again and asked for a meeting. Mickey's mouth hung slightly open, and she felt the tears pressing at the back of her throat. They were tears of embarrassment, of incredulity, but she knew how they would read, as tears of despair. But she couldn't cry here, in an apartment she could never afford with people she saw no less than 3 times a week. It would be the talk of post-event wrap-ups between PR girls dressed in tasteful black. That Mickey had cried into a lobster ceviche, and they all had to turn the other cheek. The other writers and editors would talk too, waiting until the next beauty event to place a gentle hand on her forearm and ask if everything was okay. Mickey refused to give them the satisfaction. This isn't what she would be remembered for. "Wow," was all she said. Twice, and then twice more, her voice thicker each time. She was surprised, given that just a few hours earlier, Nina had asked her to present a vision for the site's beauty and culture vertical. It was due in a few days, and Mickey had believed there was a small chance she was getting a promotion, that maybe everything she'd been through thus far was a sort of test to see if Mickey could handle more. "I know it's crazy, and my friend doesn't want it because she's happy where she is, but I just wanted to let you know so you know." Chelsea sprinkled the debris from her hands into a napkin and stuffed it in her drained drink. The garnish stuck to the bottom with the leftover ice. "Yeah, I know. I know this sucks. It does. But are we surprised? Nina's fucking incompetent, and she never liked me anyway. You know she made me write a story twice, only to bury it with the help of her senior editor. And she didn't even tell me. The senior editor felt bad and let me know. They don't like us, period," Chelsea said with a nod of the head. Mickey hesitated to agree with that, because they very much liked Chelsea, who was a senior beauty editor at one of their sister sites. Although the two seemed worlds away online, Chelsea's publication catered to white, middle-aged women with bank accounts that didn't need checking. And Mickey's was aimed squarely at the daughters, with whom they had strained relationships. They only sat 3 rows apart. But she nodded anyway, because us was the shorthand for black women in general, which Mickey would say was accurate, at least most of the time. They took synchronized sips of their endlessly refillable mixed drinks and traded gossip before calling Ubers home. But the air remained heavy, the unease encasing every word. "How far away is yours?" Chelsea asked, her face illuminated by the blue light of her phone. The sun had plunged into the Hudson River hours ago, and now they were all burdened by their glass reflections, the shimmering lights of New Jersey blinking back at them. Mickey stopped her frantic texting to check. She'd fired off an SOS text to her industry group chat, composed of interns turned editors, friendships forged by fire. 2 minutes, you? She checked her messages and frowned at the thick blue block of text staring back at her. No reply. "Same. Let's walk out." Mickey gathered her things. A branded tote bag she carried all her work stuff in, and even more totes filled with all the random products she'd received over the past few days. Single-word brands that stood out with curved, pointed fonts and bright, punchy hues. Mickey's arm was a kaleidoscope of color. She headed for the door, and the bag sagged as she walked, weighing down her shoulder and cutting into her skin. A physical reminder that this was what she had asked for. The excess, the access, the burden. "Hi, ladies. Did you enjoy the event?" a voice asked as they approached the exit. Mickey looked up from her phone to give the woman a once-over. She had a face she vaguely recognized, and a name she was sure popped into her inbox at least once a day. Rows of identical, small black bags lined the floor behind her, continuing for what seemed like miles. "Of course," Chelsea gushed, and Mickey was reminded why Chelsea was beloved. She put in the effort to learn every PR person's name and the brands they represented, took every desk-side meeting and went to all the events, bringing in business for the company, and flitting from one thing to the next with the kind of unflappable enthusiasm Mickey reserved for weekends spent in bed. Mickey was a writer, full stop, something she reminded people of when they asked why they rarely saw her at events like these, rubbing shoulders with other writers and editors, rather than trying to get ahead on her work. Between her overflowing inbox, 500 new messages since the morning, brainstorming her next big idea, the fumes from her last viral article had died down over a year ago, and another would prove she wasn't a fluke, and managing...